took the hit, but we got through it because of Bill 7. Now, and then as it turned out, we haven't even tapped into that. It's still sitting there. We know we're going to use something, but not a lot. That's why now I can move that around, shift that into ours, and free up some of the county funds, which gives us more money for local matching account. And it gives us the money to follow those. That's where I feel comfortable. My only shortfall is I need vehicles. I've had them on order for 2 years. And I have another order coming up in 30 days, and so, plus this other stuff, so. Yeah, we won't really see the benefit of all this for another almost 2 years. That's the thing I find hard about the business. You know, in all my career, we've never seen it.
Oh, really?
No, we're working backwards. You know, I watched Pete Buttigieg, the Secretary of Transportation, and I'm going to be with his assistant secretary for this thing. I'm going to Dallas next month. I'm going up there for the weekend, Latinos, whatever. Anyway, I'm speaking. I'll send you something on that, but it's just the weekend. But it's going to work out because I'm actually in good contacts with the people we're doing.
Well, right here, I'm gonna ask them
But
to
I watch him.
people that are here and to just.
Pete, you need to meet somebody like me who will tell you, okay, stop listening to the bullet points because you're starting to look sick. Yeah. Well, because they talk about fuel cells and stuff like that, and all the people who love the fuel cell, they think, well, it's a wet fuel, it's variable electric, and so forth. I always ask them, so where do you get your fuel? We have it right there at the facility. I said, no. It's in a tank, so who drops it for you? Well, we've got a contractor like in the Bay Area. I had 20 vehicles, the largest fleet in the world. And I said, yeah, it comes from up there on the top of the hill. That's Chevron. That's where they take the oil and gas and they reconstitute it to become the fuel. And then they deliver it and put it in the pump. So nothing you're doing here, it's all fossil fuels.
Yeah.
The fuel cells are all fossil fuel. The only difference is you're paying a higher price to reconstitute it to be something that's not. Now, yes, the bus doesn't have any emissions to it, but when they made it over there, that's what the emissions are.
It already
It's
happened
already
over
out.
there.
But the electric, to the extent that they're using non-fossil fuels, we're on the right track. Of course, locally, I don't think El Paso Electric's got that yet. It'll come.
Yeah.
So even for us, it'd be the same problem, but at least it's a timing issue now. You know, between them getting, you know, or at least buying into wind, solar, and everything else. Probably better likely, look, the Californians will reach that, but they're getting lots of solar. The irony is we have all those windmills here in San Antonio Park in San Teresa.
Well, just the blades passing by.
And I keep looking. Where do we have those? Does anyone have those?
Well, I mean, that's why they're expanding the port of entry there. It's just to cater to that.
I've watched some of those videos they have, and I've watched what's going on up there. And I think it's going to be an interesting next 20 to 30 years. I think, and if they ever get the village, start building, well, you guys, you know, you got your little battle going on,
Yeah.
whatever you guys do, but the potential for a lot of people living in Santa Teresa and Summer Park.
Well, I think if we get beyond the legal issue, we're getting a lot more room to go. That's just been a thorn. I told this counselor not to introduce, but try.
How close are we getting here?
I already have 130.
Can't see on this little picture. I'm not sure. Let's see who's on call. We can't see anything right now. We get a sense of who we have for. You can talk to your peers about being entitled.
You know, in the council, I have two that show up on.
So I told you this the other day, I think, the policy board, they've already told you guys, right?
The TPP?
Yeah, that you guys have the president of the county.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that's from the Attorney General of Texas.
No.
That's what they told us. I was on the line at the last
Well,
thing. That's what I heard.
Yeah, well, it's because they made the exception during COVID. And then I guess it gets gone back to whatever it was. But then they.
I thought they made reference to legal opinion from the Attorney General, but maybe I
Yeah, but
misunderstood.
I think it was associated with the COVID stuff. Diana?
She's the only one so far.
Thank you for that.
She still has to review it. I think it's Murillo.
Adam was complaining it wasn't on the agenda, so we put him on the amendment.
Huh.
You're item 14. He doesn't like WebEx. I don't like Teams.
I think Zoom's the best one so far.
Well, I learned with Teams, the best thing to do, same about Zoom, is you can use the browser.
There we go.
You're number 3.
Number 3. How many do we need?
5. No, 4.
Four.
We'll need 4. We need one more.
No, we need one.
This is Mayor Murillo online.
Thank you.
Who are you?
Doing well, and you?
Like, go, my food. Hi, how are you, ladies? Good, thank you. How are you, Mr. Employee? You're employed.
Yeah, I'm putting my fingers everywhere.
Oh my God. Well, that's good. So you're in Mesilla, huh?
Yeah.
Oh
I've
my
been there
God.
for 3 weeks.
I've
this is
been
my third
wanting
week.
to go. I'll go by. I should go in and just say hi to Javier, but I haven't had a chance.
I
Been
saw
busy.
Chief yesterday.
Oh, did you?
Chief Open, yeah. He was telling me he's retiring.
November.
How you doing? Good to see you.
Yep.
Hey, how are you?
See, long time no see, huh? Yeah. It's going to be hard to fill that position. But he has good.
Oh, hi.
Hopefully somebody within the ranks right now will apply for it. I hope. And other than that, we still need. Huh?
Not what I expected, but I don't know why. Yeah, oh, address on it. Well, I mean, I just started with the agency a couple of years ago, and they really got my name associated with it fine, but they haven't updated the address. Yeah, exactly. Thank you, sir, I appreciate it.
There you go. Yay, you're in. We have a quorum. Yeah, probably. All right. Thank you.
All public works. Oh, how's he? Not again.
Okay, guys, this is Meiji. You need to speak up. If you're talking to all of us, please.
He's still there. Did you replace your police chief yet?
Meiji, I don't think they could hear us.
No, yeah, we can hear you guys. I just 1, 2, 3. Well, it's 4 with me. I think we can get started. Yeah. I'm sorry. Mayor and I were chit-chatting over here, and we got a little distracted.
No chit chat.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this regular meeting of the South Central Regional Transit District. Today is August 24th, 2022. It is 1:36 p.m. This session is now in order. Can you please rise and join us for the pledge? Mayor Barraza, if you can lead us, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God,
Under God,
indivisible, with
indivisible,
liberty and justice for all.
for all.
All right, if I can have a roll call, please.
Javier Perea,
Present?
Nora Barraza,
Here?
Meiji Powie.
She's on the line.
She is on the line. Yvonne Flores is absent. Lynn Ellens is absent. Diana Murillo,
Present.
Peter
Maggie
Atencio,
Pally is here. I'm sorry. I was trying to get the agenda up. Go ahead.
thank you, appreciate it. Peter Atencio is absent. You have a quorum.
All right, thank you very much. We jump on to item number 4, approval of the agenda. At this moment, I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda order. Or was there a change?
May I interrupt for just a moment, Chair?
Yes.
I did have a request from Sharon Thomas, if she could be added to the agenda. She wants to talk about a position or something going on in Workforce Solutions. Maybe she can be a little more elaborate. I think that they've been asking her to be on the board. I think it's the state board for the 7 counties for the region. We-
I can entertain it in public input,
There you go.
yeah, and then
That'll work.
we'll go from there.
All right.
Yeah.
Can I have you on the microphone, please? It doesn't seem like it's on.
It was off.
I don't. So it'll be under public input.
Yeah.
Okay, so Mr. Chair, I make a motion to approve the agenda.
I have a motion on the floor made by Mayor Barraza. Is there a second?
I second.
Motion has been seconded by Mayor Murillo. Any further discussion on the agenda order? Seeing and hearing none, I have a motion on the floor, has been seconded. Let me have a roll call vote on the matter, please.
Javier Perea,
Aye.
Nora Barraza,
Yes.
Meiji Powie,
Yes,
Diana Murillo.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, motion carries unanimously. The agenda order has been approved. And public input is, she's not on. All right. Is it okay if we table this item?
Public input?
Yeah.
Sure.
Oh,
She just came on. Okay.
Sherry? Can you hear us?
Sharon? We cannot hear you.
Yeah, you're muted right now.
And we have Mr. Ellens coming on board.
All right. Sharon, can you hear us? Good afternoon. How are
Oh,
you?
we have it over there. Okay, good. Good afternoon.
Sharon? Yeah, it's sort of her microphone's on.
Ms. Thomas, we're on public input. Would you like to speak on this item? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like her microphone's picking up, but I'm not sure.
We can't hear her.
Yeah. Okay, well, we'll come back to that, and then if there's no objection by the board, we'll come back to item number 5 a little later on the agenda here. Make sure that's in the record. No objection. All right. Item number 6, approval of Fcrt meeting minutes of July 27, 2022. Madam Mayor?
Mr. Chair, I make a motion, we approve the SCRTD meeting minutes of July 27th.
I have a motion on the,
2022.
I have a motion on the floor made by Mayor Barraza. Is there a second?
I second.
Motion has been seconded by Mayor Murillo. Discussion on the minutes? Seeing and hearing none? All those in favor say aye.
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 All opposed say nay. Abstentions. Motion carries unanimously. The minutes for July 27th, 2022 have been approved. Item number 7, Executive Director's Report.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner?
does the record indicate that I have arrived?
Yes.
Okay.
I didn't note the time, but I'm sure you got it. Oh, perfect, perfect.
I I gave Becky a wink. That was, I think that was noted, but thank you. Good afternoon, David Armejo, Executive Director. I'm pleased to provide today's report, which will be brief, I believe. At least it's only 10 slides. Let's see if this thing's working. There we go. So I'm going to focus on 4 items. The first, we'll talk about the new grant funding, and I believe all of you got press release we put out last week. The media didn't run it, but we put the press release out, so maybe somewhere along the line we'll pick up some media on that. I think they like it when you actually have a bus as opposed to talking about it. Talking a bit about ridership. There's some really good information there as we've been having normally. I also want to talk about, and I may actually have Adam say a few words. I wanted to put up there that the annual audit has now been scheduled. We'll go into that a little bit. And then the last, I should put the word draft up there. So I've identified 2 areas of fiscal year goals, and I'm following the 10-year plan, which breaks it up into service and financial. So I'll kind of go through those 2 slides, and may just be an opening
Hold on, everybody.
for discussion. So this first slide, as we discussed this just a few months ago, back in, you might remember, April, May, we were talking about getting the application in. We got approval from this board to submit those 2 grants. It's a very unusual time. A total of $1.6 billion was released or accepted and awarded last week across the United States. 150 projects came up with that amount of money. Over 500 projects and $7.7 billion was submitted. So as big a year as that was, and then, like, as I said before, it's about 4 times the norm. So I don't expect this to happen very often, and I'm not even sure what next year will bring, but this was a good year. We were encouraged by the state of New Mexico, which became our funding partner, to apply for both grants. And in fact, the Federal Transit Administration actually made that encouragement to us. But I think New Mexico DOT was just as surprised as we were that we actually got both grants funded. And I'll have to go through that a little bit because it does present challenges in the near term as to where the money goes and how we're going to execute that. The grants are unlike our current 5311 rural funding that we get, which is a 12-month window. These grants, which are basically capital, are the year of service plus 5. So you get 6 years to draw those numbers down. So we've got lots of time on our hand. We can talk about it. We can work our way through what we need to do. We did decide to go, we could have gone individually, but we decided that we would stay under the umbrella of the New Mexico DOT, and we think that's in our best interest. We also think it helped present a stronger front when we submitted that, because it was, as I said, very competitive. Most projects did not get funded, so we were very lucky not only to get funded, but to get 2 of them funded. Specifically, the funds are for buses, charging stations, training, and facilities. The first grant, the 2.5, is the bus grant that we mostly talked about. That's the one that was the most competitive. It was only allowed for funds for electric vehicles, and you had to have a zero-emission plan to do it. We got our plan in under the wire in May, and so we were qualified to do that. I think we may well be the only one in the state that got funded in that category. The city of Las Cruces did very well. They got $5.7 million, and I believe they got some money from that, but they did it through the urbanized program, but they did very well. So we anticipate in working with the state that we will go forward this year with the local match that we've identified for that 1 grant. We anticipate that we'll defer on the 2nd grant until next year. And so there's a lot of discussions we'll have to have with the legislature and our funding partners, the county and elsewhere, as to how we get the local match for that one. Are there any questions before I move on? Well, in a year of the rainy day that we've had the last week, the CMAQ, which is the congestion mitigation for air quality, came through the El Paso MPO last month, and they had a call for projects for the next 3 years. We submitted our projects for these mid-size buses, and that's the bus right there, 25 feet, 14 passengers, and 2 wheelchair lift from the rear. Those buses are about $300,000 with, normally about $250,000, but with the additional electric power and the stations, it adds up to about $350,000. We submitted our grant application before the deadline in July. I went to defend the grant application before the El Paso MPO on August the 3rd. the technical committee liked our grant application and we received approval, is now moving to the MPO Policy Board on September 16th. And those members that are here today that are on the policy board, like Mayor Padilla and Mayor Murillo, will have that opportunity. So please vote for us. So we're not out of the woods yet, but that gives us another $1 million. Now, the interesting thing is that these vehicles are readily available. And so if we go forward with this, we most likely would see these buses arrive before the others. But I'm going to say probably 6 months either way. So we could have these in place by next summer, which means a lot of activity has to occur over the next 6 months if we do that. The other advantage we have is this is an 85-15, or more specifically, a little over 85% federal funds and just about 14.6% local match. So we're going to be able to do this. I think the local match list is about 150,000. So with that 300,000 we have available, we'll probably shift our money towards this vehicle if in fact we get this approval, because we'd have a chance to get these vehicles in, and we're so far behind in our other bus orders. So this has a little high probability for us. And it's a very exciting opportunity for us. No other projects were submitted. They're now going back out for a call for projects for the next 2 years, and they'll take the savings. There was $2 million. We're going to spend $1 million, so they'll take the savings of that and roll that into the other 2 years, which means each of those 2 years will be somewhere in the area around $2.5 million. So that's going to be good for the area. And we we can bid again if we want to apply. So we'll talk about that. We got a lot on our plate right now. Ridership. This has been an interesting year. I took the first 2 weeks of ridership, which were somewhat record-breaking. I did a very flat estimate that we'd stay at the same level that we did for the first 2 weeks. But this month is 23 days during the week and 27 days with the weekend, specifically the silver and yellow run on the weekend, Saturdays. So that gives us the benefit of 4.5 weeks plus or minus. And so as a result, the numbers jump from 2,000 plus ridership a week to just about 9,400. Now that number is a draft, and so that might be, might go down, it might go higher. It does say a lot about the ridership, as you can see. With 1 month to go, this is the fiscal year number, which is September to, it's October through September, the other way. So we have 1 month left. So even if we only did 8,000, we're looking at about 85 to 86,000 rides for the year, which would still be about 20,000 more than last year. So it's still a pretty significant increase, probably closer to 50%. So we're doing very well. How much further we can go? A lot of that depends on how much service we put out. A lot of people are asking for us to return the service in Sunland Park, which used to be the 83, are now our yellow to include Sundays. And so the Sunday service would do a lot. I've been talking with Sun Metro. They're still waiving based on staffing, but that's their goal, is to go back to Sunday service in El Paso. So once that hits, the pressure will be on us to do that. And that's something we might talk about this fall. I don't see that happening in the near term, but it could happen sooner than later. The annual audit. So Adam, I don't know if you want to say anything to this. You can use your desk or come up here. This is basically the schedule that you've discussed with me. I don't know if you want to add anything. You've been in discussion with the auditors.
Yes, we've already been set up and scheduled for the audit to begin on September 26th to go that week. So well in advance of the deadline, which is of course December 15th. And hopefully this year they'll actually give it or submit it before the actual deadline. But everything's on schedule.
Good, thank you. Fiscal year goals. I like this slide came up. I didn't create this slide. It just shot into my PowerPoint and said, you know what? We'll run it. To me, I would rather it be the bulls. We run with the bulls, but that's a little more dangerous. So, and it does look a little bit like it could be the Oregon Mountains or somewhere in that area. Could be New Mexico. So 2 slides. The first one is service. So I wanted to open with this one that I think, as we look at the coming year, one of the reasons our ridership has been able to continue to grow is we've been able to balance between operating funds from the various grants, 5311, the anticipation of 5307 funding that's going to come into all this, and just the ability to make the most of the fleet that we have now, which is really aging on us. But to the extent we can continue, if we can follow the 10-year plan, then we do have plans in this year to begin to look at some additional frequency on the turquoise route, continuing to grow up to the north. I'll show you next month on the breakout by the ridership, but we've seen tremendous growth in the copper route. I think we're now well above 200, almost to 300. I think this month the green route was over 500 riders. And so those services, it takes a couple of years. The green is a little more mature than the copper. It's less than a year for the copper, but we'll be surprised. I was told by the driver this morning that he had 12 people on the bus. I think they're going to Mesilla, by the way. Maybe for lunch, I don't know. So yeah, the ridership's catching up. A lot of people are still learning that we're out there, where we're going. That's a little bit of the issue, but that's going very well. We are looking at, this is something that's going to get into the amendment we're doing today that Adam will talk about. But as we start to look at how we use our funds, we think as those 5307 funds get approved, and we finally, through the application we've filed with the folks in Fort Worth, get that into operation this year, that additional funds will help us quite a bit. And then we have another year coming up in a few months for the next year. So we think those funds will now give us enough money to shift our resources to the north. And so I put down there, certainly our expectation to go to Sierra County. Right now, we just don't have the buses. So first the money, then the buses. If we can get those two together, I hope within the coming few months, we might be able to put something out there. Beyond that, I am still looking at a van pool type program. I know I've talked to some folks up in the Sierra County area about that. The next one is we have been told we have an audit coming in October from the New Mexico DOT. They've indicated that their evaluation of our ridership, again, no good deed goes unpaid for, that because we're doing very well, they anticipate that we're moving from what would be an express type service with limited trips to a more mature fixed route service, which then means you have to have ADA accommodations provided. And so they're going to pretty much tell us that you've got to do something in those areas. The second thing is in working with Sun Metro, as they look at the region and they look at these funds that we're getting, they believe that we should be looking at that type of a service for the entire southern part of the district, which means the unincorporated areas of Doña Ana County, Anthony, Chaparral, as well as Sunland Park and Santa Teresa. So that whole area, we'll have to develop some kind of a 5-year plan to figure out how we're going to do that. Anything we do up further north will have to come later as we work our way through this. The question is really going to come down to funding. You know, is there enough funding available to do all that? With that in mind, I'll talk about that later, but we have or are submitting for a grant, a 2-year grant with El Paso MPO for 5310, which is the seniors and people with disabilities grant, so that we think that funding could help augment other funding sources we would need using those federal funds there as well. Next on the list is kind of delayed the van pool program. We've got one van, and we think we can order a second one so we can get that service going down south. We're also in discussions with trying to put that up as an option up in Sierra County. So we're kind of looking at where that goes if we get the 2 vehicles. A lot of our priority has been on these grants, so we really haven't been able to follow up with all the physical things we have to do to go up and spend time with the people at Santa Teresa. So we hope to do that in September, October. And then the last 2 points would be to begin securing a bus facility in Sunland Park. We have a lease facility. We have 1 more year on the lease. Either we work towards a long-term lease agreement or we start looking at buying that or get another facility somewhere down there. And I know that there's properties, but most of those are vacant. You know, it's a piece of dirt, and so that's going to be pretty expensive. So there's not many facilities that have the property that we need. That facility is actually bigger than what we need and could be parceled off and split with another partner or something. So we'll look at that. And then I guess last on that is coordinating with the electric bus program with the El Paso Electric and helping us with these different vehicles and getting the stations in place. I know they did an evaluation of the Sunland Park facility. It's 11 acres, and there's actually 2 power lines, I guess that's the right word for it, that run through the property, probably because we have the big facility that's next to us, and then we have a maintenance facility next door, so I think that's the two that go through. And so depending on where that would go. Now, they like that property to put a public station there because there are no public stations much on the west side. I think they've got some planned, but El Paso Electric is moving aggressively. There are federal funds and state funds to do some of these things in addition to whatever funds we might have. So hopefully that partnership will bode well. The next slide is finance. Obviously, you gotta have money to do all this. I don't want to get too far ahead of Adam because I know he's going to talk a little bit about it. So I just basically said, maintain our balanced budget while building reserves. So our revenues have grown. I took he saw my email today, so we did go ahead and pay off the last of the debt that we have on that one car. We've been able to get more funds above $150,000 or more a month. And like I said, I'll let Adam go into those details. So we're building towards that, but we know that we need a lot more resources than that. We need to really double that up as we go into this next year. Again, executing the 10-year plan, and we'll bring that back to the board to say what are those specifics to the plan, what's going on in 2022 and what's planned for 2025, and how close are we to making those estimates go forward and what's in that. We have to now manage the increased grant funding. Since June, we've received 5 grants totaling over $7 million to the district. It is a record. And of that $6.5 million of capital, and actually is about $2 million for operating with the 53. So it's almost $8 million as we go through that. So it's a lot of money and a lot of money for local match, and we'll have to give you a plan on that. Coordinating our vehicle purchases with New Mexico DOT and now the FTA. So we've got bus orders going in both ways. And more specifically, we have 3 buses on order that have been on order for 2 years in the state of New Mexico waiting for vehicles because of this backup. They were talking about inflation yesterday on CBS News, and by the time they broke it all down, he says, you know what, there's no boogeyman, there's no one person to go blame. It just is. And that's kind of where we are. We've still been able to scramble with the help of the New Mexico DOT, get some vehicles over the last 4 months, so we've done well there. But we'll need to work through that as we pull the trigger on these other buses as we make those orders. Again, executing an annual audit on schedule, that's certainly not a priority for us. Coordinating with the Department of Finance and Administration quarterly and annual fiscal report. I'm going to leave that to Adam because he's having so much fun working with DFA. They're like a big part of his life. We ought to get funding from the state for what he's doing because it's certainly a cost center of its own. And then programming our funds to support the electric bus implementation. I did open up an email just before this meeting. I sent over to the county, got good support from James Macias, Michael Martinez, and other individuals. So it was, as much as I was trying to inform them of what's going on with this grant that's available for another week, I actually got more information from them as to what's been going on. So basically, a lot of the local jurisdictions are all looking at electric vehicles. And so I think at some point we need to find a way, and I'd like to burden the county, they're the big player here, but at some point we need to get a coalition or some kind of a team, because I think we're all going after the same thing. There's got to be some help there because, I mean, we're looking at what kind of training needs we need. There's got to be some things. I've been told by the El Paso Electric that there's funds for that. So, I know we're all getting bits and pieces, but somehow we need to pull this all together. Coordinate. So I think that pretty much covers all the points I wanted to make there. So there's a lot on that. I don't think these are the only items that would be our goals. I think what we'd like to do over the next couple of months is come back with these same goals, sharpen them up a little bit, and maybe do a tactical plan as to how we're going to do that. And I think a lot of these extend beyond the next 12 months, and they'll see where that goes. And that ends my presentation. If there's any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Yes, David, this is Meiji Powie.
Yes.
Okay. I've talked to several of the students here that are going down to NMSU. Some of them are still doing online, but they are going at least once a week to classes. However, they don't use our local websites. So I put something on there, but I haven't gotten a lot of response. Somebody needs to post it down at NMSU, or because there is interest, I'm sure, in a van pool. The other issue here locally is that our Sierra County Cancer Assistance Group travels to Las Cruces every single day. Various individuals, they did finally get, I believe, a van, but there are people, private people, individuals driving back and forth to Las Cruces to take people for radiation treatments, chemo. None of that's available in this county.
Okay. What was the name of the group?
Sierra County Cancer Assistance, and I will get you a contact.
Well, that's
because
great.
they're always begging for drivers, and I support them financially, not a lot, but I do. But they are always looking for drivers.
Well, that sounds great. I mean, I think what would be a win-win here, if there is one, is we do have that one van and we're looking at getting another. So perhaps we can, identify this team and group. The whole idea behind a van pool is for the group to form the van. We provide the equipment, we provide the insurance and everything else for it, the fixed costs, and then they handle the operating costs. And we just manage them, we keep track of their mileage and so on. But yeah, let's open up a dialogue and see what we can do. I've got Christina listening in on this, and so she'll follow up on the things like Facebook and all that stuff. And we'll, as soon as we can make contact with some of these people and find a link, we'll see if we can link them up to us. We do have on our website the van pool program, just a simple fact sheet, but we can certainly utilize some of those tools and see where we go. But certainly in the short run, getting a van to them and getting something that's going to build to a bus would be the best way to go.
Yeah, and the other people that really have no transportation except individuals who drive them is the people that go for dialysis. That's always been a huge issue.
All right, well, that sounds good. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I have a question, just to piggyback off of what Meiji just said. Would we hire someone, possibly in the Sierra County, to be the driver? And that way, they don't have to go, come, making 2 round trips. And possibly think of hiring someone within Sierra County to be an employee.
I think my answer is maybe, and the reason, and you already know the answer, is all the insurance and some of the other issues that you have. Once you have an employee, it's very different than if you have an independent contractor. But we can look at that.
Because I don't think that we can hire an independent contractor to drive one of your vehicles, correct?
Correct.
That would be an insurance issue.
Yeah.
And so they would almost have to be an employee of the Scrtd in order to be driving. Okay.
I think we first start with a communication and get a contact, find out how many people, hours, distance, locations. We'll take it from there.
Yeah. Well, and then just obviously what Meiji just said, there is a need there. And I think once you have your presence there, it'll only build from there. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right,
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner?
could you go back to the slide with the electric buses?
The first one?
No, that one, yeah.
There you go.
That's a 25-foot electric bus. Is that from front to back, or is that the dimension of the interior passenger
I believe that,
compartment?
excuse me, Commissioner, I believe that's bumper to bumper is how they measure the feet, 25 feet.
Okay.
Yeah. Plus or minus, could be a few inches off.
I mean, I'm not there in person to look at it, but it looks like it's more than 25 feet.
It's interesting you say that because I was being very careful which photo I chose, and I made sure this is the photo because you're right. Some of the other ones, the way you can tell is how many windows there are in the middle. So for each window, you basically have a row. So this has 12 seats in it, and then the back where you see the doors, that's where the lift comes in and out. So if you're not using wheelchairs, there are 2 fold downs like you see at the airplanes for the stewardesses. Those fold down, and that's how you get to 14. So you got 14 passengers plus the driver.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Is Sherry on there still? Sharon, can you, if there's no objection, I'll bring the public comment section back up. I see and hear no objection. Sherry, can you hear us? We can't hear you. We see you. We can't hear you. No. Yeah, we've lost your microphone. There we go. Well, it's okay. No. Okay, well, we'll come back. Is that all right? All right. Item number 8, discussion and resolution approving submittal of $140,000 FY24 NMDOT Section 5310, Enhanced Mobility of Seniors and Individuals with Disabilities Grant Application.
Yes, thank you. Again, David Armijo, Executive Director. This one's a fairly simple one. The state of New Mexico provides funding on an annualized basis for public projects like this. This one specifically is for people with disabilities and whatnot. This is to enhance connections to our fixed-route bus system. We would be applying for the grants. There are no operating funds, but this would basically apply for 2 vehicles. My expectation is that if we get that recommendation a year from now when these funds would become available, because we're applying for a grant that begins on October 1st, 2023 for the fiscal year that's 2024. So that's a long time in advance. So it's in our best interest to apply for these funds, make the case. We'll be working with the state between now and then. Hopefully between now and June, we would get a grant award that will allow us to plan for those vehicles. And those would be vehicles that could be used anywhere within the county. They would not be limited to services just in the South Bay. So with that, we would request the approval of these 2 vehicles. I think under the resolution, we're asking for the approval, and there would be the 20% local match to this. So the $140,000 includes total grant with the local match.
At this moment, I would entertain a motion to approve item number 8.
Mr. Chair, I
Mayor?
so make a motion that we approve resolution number FY 2023-01.
I have a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion has been seconded. Motion was made by Mayor Barraza. Motion was seconded by Commissioner Allens. Any discussion? Seeing and hearing none, let me have a roll call vote on the matter, please.
Javier Perea,
Aye.
Nora Barraza,
Yes.
Meiji Powie,
Yes.
Lynn Ellens,
Yes.
Diana Murillo.
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion carries unanimously. Item number 8 has been approved. Item number 9, discussion resolution approving submittal of $1,714,486 for NMDOT FY24 Section 5311 Rural Grant Application.
Again, thank you very much. It's David Armijo, Executive Director. So this item is kind of a parallel to the other grant. It will be for the same fiscal year time period, beginning in October 2023 through the following year. So it's a fiscal year 2024 grant. The grant is the district's primary funding source for operations. It provides service throughout the rural communities of providing service to the green, the red, copper, turquoise, and purple routes. So everything from Garfield Hatch all the way to the southern part of our county in Sunland Park. So this grant would help provide those services. There is capital funding included, and that would be for the buses and administrative support. I think we've requested 2 vehicles in this grant and another support vehicle. In this case, actually an administrative car, something a little bit smaller. I'd be happy to take any questions.
At this moment, I would entertain a motion to approve item number 9.
Mr. Chair,
Madam Mayor?
I make a motion, we approve resolution number FY 2023-02.
I have a motion on the floor made by Mayor Barraza. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion has been seconded by Commissioner Allen. Discussion by the board.
Mr. Chair, just one question.
Madam Mayor?
And I'm sure Mr. Armijo has said this before. The district is committing to provide the 594,000, and we would take that from where?
That comes from the $835,000 a year grant we get from the county, and our membership fees of about $130,000 plus or minus. Adam can fit that in. So we have about $960,000 and $970,000 that would be available for local match. So we'd be
Okay.
using the vast majority of that money for this. This is
For
our
this?
biggest
Okay, and then
operating grant.
for the resolution prior, our match would be 28,000. You would take that money also from that 900,000?
We take this, I'm not sure if I'll, can you repeat?
For the previous
The
run?
previous
Yes, yes.
resolution.
That's correct.
Okay,
Yeah, that's why I said they're parallel. Yeah, the 28,000, correct.
Okay.
So 28,000 plus 594, so that gives us about 300,000 to play with.
okay, very good. Thank you.
I have more to go here.
She has a running tally over there.
The numbers are coming down, just keep your track. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Seeing and hearing none, I have a motion on the floor. It has been seconded. Let me have a roll call vote on the matter, please.
Javier Perea,
Aye.
Nora Braza,
Yes?
Meiji Powie,
Yes.
Lynn Ellens,
Yes.
Diana Murillo.
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion carries unanimously. Item number 9 has been approved. Item number 10, discussion and resolution approving submittal of $1,037,296 for FY22 CMAQ grant application via El Paso MPO call for projects.
Yes, again, thank you. This is David Armijo, Executive Director. So this is another one I just presented a minute ago. It's still subject for approval on September 16th for the Policy Board, but I wanted to bring this in. We brought this earlier as a discussion item, and in the past couple of months, this came up so fast. This is really the first time we've had a distinct communication on this issue. So we're asking for these funds, and of course, if you look at the resolution, it breaks it down to, we're asking for a commitment of $150,000 in local funding. Now, with that said, and I know that someone's keeping track of this, we also have $200,000 from the legislature. And so we went to the legislature back in January, February. We asked them for funds to help us with local match for 5 vehicles at that time. And so we would use the lion's share of those funds for these 3 vehicles, and that would still leave us with a little bit of money that we could use towards some other vehicles that we're going to be able to get. And that's the end of my comment.
At this moment, I would entertain a motion to approve item number 10.
Mr. Chair,
Madam Mayor?
make a motion, we approve resolution number FY 2023-03.
I have a motion on the floor made by Mayor Barras. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion has been seconded by Commissioner Allen. Discussion by the board. All right, seeing and hearing none, I have a motion on the floor has been made and seconded. Oh, I just blanked there for a moment. Because of, let me have a roll call vote on the matter, please.
Javier Perea,
Yes.
Nora Braza,
Yes?
Meiji Powie,
Yes.
Lynn Ellens,
Yes.
Diana Murillo.
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion carries unanimously. Item number 10 has been approved. Item number 11, discussion resolution approving submittal of $489,377 for FY22 and $489,377 for FY23, Section 5310 grant application via El Paso MPO call for projects.
Thank you again, David Armijo. So this one is a little bit different. This is a call for projects that we still have one more item over. This resolution is needed for us to submit for the grant application. So it's approving the submittal of that. And so we're looking at vehicles, money for both operating and capital. So the total grant is $489. This one works under an 85-15 approach, so a little bit less on that. I think we identified the local match to being $97,875. Those would come out of mostly operating, so that would come from our annual grant for the Doñana County. for the operations. I would support that. Are there any questions?
At this moment, I would entertain a motion to approve item number 11.
Mr. Chair,
Madam Mayor?
I make a motion, we approve resolution number FY 2023-04.
I have a motion on the floor by Mayor Barraza. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion has been seconded by Commissioner Allen's. Discussion by the board?
Mr. Chair,
Madam Mayor?
I'd just like to make a request for our next RTD meeting. If Adam or Mr. Armijo could please do an Excel worksheet saying what we're requesting, the amount, what our match is going to be, and where it's coming from. And that way I can see it all on one sheet. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. We were smiling at each other because we had this discussion yesterday. So we have that spreadsheet, but we're not in total agreement on the numbers. And one of the reasons I wanted to add this to this item, I'm sorry I didn't say it before, it's a very interesting place, El Paso MPO. So the grant that we're submitting for on the 5310 has the money for operating in capital. And the operating is normal 50/50, and the capital is this, why they do 85/15, it's a whole different discussion. But once we submit for that, and if they approve it, the state of Texas has toll money. And the MPO on our behalf, once we're approved, will submit that on our behalf, and they'll zero it out. So this grant would not have any local match on it. So I've actually offered more than what we're going to have to pay on the local match for this. So that number should come down. But you're right, the spreadsheet will help.
Yeah, definitely. And let me see if I understand the writing on this resolution, where it says we will provide $97,875 for 2 years. So 1 year is that amount, and then the second year is going to be another 97,000?
No, that's, I believe that's for the 2 years.
Okay.
No, you're right, it is 2 years. Yeah, those are two different amounts, so that's right, it'd be two. But that would be in, and this is another item that's weird about El Paso MPO. So this is for fiscal years 2022, which means they already have the money, and fiscal year 2023, which they won't get the money until after October. However, they're going to execute it as fiscal year 2023, which is next year, and 2024, which is the year after,
Okay,
which means we're not under the hook to have those funds available until next year and the year after.
okay. So, but it's 97 each year?
So yes,
Okay.
it will be, but our anticipation, and we'll bring that spreadsheet to you, and the
Yes.
spreadsheet's going to have two levels to it. Maybe that's 3D, because we have to show you that what's actually this year and what's next year and what's the
Right.
following. It's
Okay.
really a 3-year deal.
Understood. Thank you.
Thank you.
So David, I have a question.
Sure.
Are there, on the Doña Ana County grant, are there any restrictions, limitations, or do they just give you a sum?
They're all the above. So if I can put it in simple terms, we break up the grant as to operating and capital. And so the money's there in those two categories. However, there's a provision in the grant, and the purpose of the grant is to help us match funds for either operating service or acquiring equipment. So we will have to have that discussion further with the attorneys, but we believe that means that if we end up spending more on capital than operating, then we would have the latitude to do that. We just can't go over the amount that they've given us. And that's one of the reasons we're talking about trying to use more of the urban funds in the southern part of the district to perhaps replace some of the county funds and free up some of those county funds into capital as local match, if that allows us to get more equipment. So that would be a win-win. At least that's our strategy right now.
All right, any other
Thank
questions?
you.
Seeing none. I have a motion on the floor. It has been seconded. Let me have a roll call on the matter, please.
Javier Perea,
Yes.
Nona Braza,
Yes.
Meiji Powie,
Yes.
Lynn Ellens,
Yes.
Diana Murillo.
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion carries unanimously. Item number 11 has been approved. Item number 12, discussion and resolution approving low-no grant award of $2,511,882 That's it. I was going to continue reading.
Thank you very much. I know we've covered this issue a little bit. Again, David Armijo, Executive Director. So again, on this one, we're working with the state of New Mexico as our funding partner to schedule a time when we would execute this grant and how we would tap into our local match funds. We still think there's enough funds available this year to do this grant, but we'll talk about the next grant in a minute because we'd be using whatever's left of the legislative funds, our own local membership fees, as well as the county grant. Are there any questions on this one?
At this moment, I would entertain a motion to approve item number 13.
Mr. Chair,
Madam Mayor?
I probably got ahead of myself. Are we on resolution 05?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes.
That's what I'm looking
No,
at.
I'm sorry.
Yes? No.
Yes,
Yes,
yes.
yes.
Oh, I checked 13 off.
Low-no electric bus.
Yeah,
The electric bus?
yes.
Okay. Mr. Chair, I make a motion. We approve resolution number FY 2023-05.
I have a motion on the floor, made by Mayor Barraza. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion has been seconded by Commissioner Allen's. Discussion by the board?
Mr. Chair, one question. So, and I think I'm reading ahead on some of the resolutions, I'm confusing myself. And so this resolution is to acquire the $2.5 million to purchase 3 electric buses
Right.
and 3 charging stations?
That's correct.
That is correct, okay.
No facilities, nothing else in
Okay.
this. And
I
this
just
is,
wanted to-
this one's an 85-15%, so it's 15% local match.
50% local match,
15, a little bit less.
15?
Yeah, so I think that's about 350,000.
Oh, and that's not written in the resolution?
No, it's not required, so we didn't put it in there. I give them what they asked for.
So it's going to be about $350,000
Plus or
local
minus,
match?
someone has a calculator and figure out 15%. I think that's what it comes to.
And again, where are you getting that local match from?
Where? This one's going to be tied to whatever is left in the various local funds that we have, the county, our own membership fees, and whatever's left over from the legislature. If we're short, then we might reduce the amount of the order. Or wait until after the first of the year when we talk to the legislature.
Oh, yeah, I can see we're already over, so, okay.
Pretty close, yeah.
All right. Seeing and hearing no other discussion, I have a motion on the floor. It has been seconded. Let me have a roll call vote on the matter, please.
Javier Perea,
Yes.
Nora Barraza,
Yes,
Meiji Powie,
Yes.
Lynn Ellens,
Yes.
Diana Murillo.
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion carries unanimously. Item 12 has been approved. Item 13, discussion and resolution approving 5339 bus and facility grant award of $3,071,882.
Yes, thank you. This is the largest of the groups because it includes not just the buses, but it includes facilities, charging stations, and even includes some program management to manage all these things. This is the one we know we're going to defer. The reason for being here today and getting it programmed is to make sure that depending on where things go over the next few months, we don't want to be in a situation where we haven't taken some kind of an action on the grant because we want to end up having to lose this grant for any reason. So having it programmed is important, even though we know that we won't draw down any funds or do anything with this one until next fiscal year.
At this moment, I would entertain a motion to approve item number 13.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion, we approve FY 2023-06.
I have a motion on the floor made by Mayor Barraza, seconded by Commissioner Ellens. Discussion by the board?
Mr. Chair.
Madam Mayor.
Okay, so this is the amount you're going to be requesting from our legislators?
No, this one, yes, we would be requesting the local match that would go with this.
A local match.
which is that 15%. So that's almost $450,000. So
Not the 3 million.
that's a big ask, or we want to have some discussions with the county or look at our membership fee. So we need some time in order to be able to figure out the best strategy and come back to the board and talk about that.
Okay, so let me see if I understand this correct. So this $3 million from the 5339
Yeah, it's bus and bus facilities.
and
capital.
facilities. But this money, we don't have this money at this time. Is that correct?
Not just us, nor does the federal government, but they're giving us a commitment, we're making a commitment too, so.
They're making a commitment, is that what you're saying?
They're making a commitment. We don't even have this in writing yet. We're still working on the grant application with the state of New Mexico. But what we're trying to do is show the state that, yes, we have a commitment to it, but we expect that would be in the coming year. Because again, we didn't expect to get both applications approved.
So basically, by approving this resolution, we're putting the cart before the horse?
Well, we're programming it into the budget subject to. Now, if somebody were to walk over and give us the money, the local match, and that could happen come January, February with the legislature, then we might move forward in this fiscal year.
Okay.
I think
It's
that-
just that I'm trying to think is
But-
that I know you're negotiating, probably talking, but it's not committed as of yet. We don't have an award letter from them or a commitment from them in writing.
We have a letter from Congress that was submitted and identified all the projects. That's at
And
this
that-
point.
okay,
From the
okay.
Secretary of
I feel
Transportation.
better about that then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I thought I had attached that last week to the
there's
email.
an email
Yeah,
with
I can check.
Oh, is that the one, the
Yes.
email we got?
It shows all the projects, including Las Cruces. They got some money too.
Yeah, that's why I'm thinking that Excel worksheet would really, I'm very visual, so, okay,
I
thank you.
Don't agree, disagree. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
No problem. Any other discussion? Seeing and hearing none, I have a motion on the floor. It has been seconded. May I have a roll call on the matter, please?
Javier Perea,
Aye.
Nora Barraza,
Yes,
Meiji Powie,
Hang on. Yes.
Lynn Ellens,
Yes.
Diana Murillo.
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion carries unanimously. Item 13 has been approved. Item number 14, discussion and resolution approving annual budget amendment to reflect adding capital funding to support 2 electric bus grants.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and greetings. This is Adam Shea, the Finance Officer for South Central Regional Transit District, and greetings to all the board members. My particular presentation has to do with the last 2 items on the agenda, items 12 and 13, adding them to the budget. As you can see with the paperwork or the files that were sent along with the agenda, I included the expenditures, the revenue, as well as the capital sections of the fiscal year 2023 budget. The only thing that is changing at this particular time is those 2 items, adding them to the budget. I know there's been a lot of discussion as far as our percentage of match, and these funds are what is to be, as long as we gain them, of course, is to, it's 6 years, I believe, that we have to use them. So there is time to be able to build up our reserves, which is something that Mr. Armijo and I are in discussion with, so that at the end of the fiscal year, we have a nice little kitty to be able to make those particular payments along with what we are gaining from the membership dues and Donna Ana County. So at this time, I would ask that the board consider and approve the addition to the annual budget of the $3,071,882 grant, as well as the $2,511,882 grant to the annual budget. Are there any questions? Yes.
Mr. Chair, if I may, is there a place in our book that reflects that?
It's the last page.
Okay, and I'm looking, I don't see $3 million.
And the column says amendment number 1.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, gotcha.
That particular amount is actually, it's actually not correct. And the only reason I say that is because that was my extrapolation of the 3,071,000, that sort of thing. I was basing it on the wrong amount. Specifically, if you look at the revised budget, those amounts that were mentioned as far as those 2 grants are the amounts that would be filled in at that point. The 3,071,882 in the first one, the 2,511,882 on the second one. That was the actual amounts that would be added to the budget.
So that's the correction here.
Mr. Chair, so the numbers that are written that under amendment number 1 here are not correct.
That's, unfortunately, that is correct. I apologize for that. I did not update this particular file before it was sent to you. The very first one should be 3,071,882. The second one, 2,511,882.
So let me do this. Let me entertain a motion to approve item number 14.
Mr. Chair,
Madam Mayor?
I can make that motion, but I would like to add to that motion that
Yeah, 5.5.
the corrected amounts be reflected
Okay.
in the minutes and the record.
So I have a motion on the floor made by Mayor Barroso. I was going to break it down, but Mayor Barroso just put it all together. I have a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion has been seconded. Commissioner Allens. Did we get the numbers on the record? All right. Discussion on that, on the motion? And granted, the totals are going to change in accordance to that, those 2 values.
That's correct.
Correct? All right. Seeing and hearing no other discussion, I have a motion on the floor. It has been seconded. All those in favor, no, that's a resolution. Let me have a roll call vote.
Javier Pereira,
Yes.
Nora Barraza,
Yes.
Meiji Powie,
Yes.
Lynn Ellens,
Yes.
Diana Murillo.
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion carries unanimously. Item number 14 has been approved with that correction.
Can I add one thing to the record? So I could save Adam a little bit. So when I did my presentation, I kind of ran through it, but I had the grants showed FTA and the other one said the regular New Mexico DOT. So one of the things we're having to go through, it's almost like being dyslexic. So when we see the grants being awarded through the FTA, like the electric, those are the federal funds that we've been given. We add the local match that's there to that. So the number goes up. And then when we get to 5311 through the rural from the state, it's the total grant application, which includes our local match. So we actually have to reduce the number. And so I think that's what Adam's going to have to go through as we go through these numbers and we're dealing with, Section 5307 or we're dealing with 5311. They work differently. They're like 2 magnets. They're in opposition.
Okay.
I know that seems simplistic, but when you're going through half a dozen grants, it gets complicated. Sorry for the error.
All right. So I'm going to go back again one last time to see if Sherry is available.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am, we can hear you.
Oh, great. Okay, well, I tried 2 different microphones on that computer, then I tried a different computer. So sorry about all that.
You're okay. Go ahead, ma'am.
So, okay, I just wanted to say that I'm on the Southwest Area Workforce Development Board, and my role is to represent transportation. This happened some years ago, as I was really, as a past chair, was a representative from this organization, South Central. And I also am on the transportation group that's part of the resilience leaders. So my question is, do you want to actually codify this? Do you want to actually make it a part of your policy or to have people that make these connections between this group and other groups where transportation plays a role. And particularly at this time, because the workforce board they now have we have a new administrator. And so a couple of years ago, we did a career pathways plan, but it never got implemented. Looks like we might get it implemented now. Mayor Perez working on this as well. And so what the big difference is, if we adopt this approach, we will be spending more time with local businesses and industries and trying to determine what their needs are in terms of skills, workers, and then we will try to adjust our programs to fit local needs. So my question is just, do you want to codify this in some way or keep it informal, or what do you want to do? I can come to these meetings and report on what's going on with the workforce program.
All right, thank you. This is David Armijo. Let me try to address this, going by memory on our bylaws. So the board has the latitude to appoint somebody and to, as she has requested, to codify this, and we can do that by resolution. I can develop that for the next meeting. And then the board can maybe take action on that. And maybe we can do it in such a way that it would be multi-jurisdictional, multifunctional, because it sounds like there's more than one issue here. We're talking about the residency group, and then we're also talking about workforce. So I can work with Ms. Thomas on that and then come back and let the board take action if they wish.
Okay. Mr. Chair?
Madam Mayor?
Okay, what I'd like to do before we even move forward is, I know Jay's in the audience today, but I haven't had a discussion with him just to see what the benefits are to the RTD in having, Ms. Thomas or anyone else for that matter representing the RTD. And I don't know if I don't think this is the time, because we need to put it as an agenda item for discussion. I mean, because I don't want to have all this representation, and what is the benefit to the RTD in having that type of representation for us? And I'd like to get more feedback from either Ms. Infante or from Jay regarding this, if you're all okay with that.
So then we'll add it for the
Next month.
next meeting
As a
as a discussion item.
Please?
Yeah, and we can elaborate on it.
Okay, I appreciate it.
Yeah, that works.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon. Appreciate it. All right. At this point, we are under item 15, closed session personnel matters. To discuss personnel matters regarding the executive director. The district may convene closed session to discuss personnel matters as authorized by the Open Meetings Act 1015-1, NMSA, there it is, 1015-1, H2 and 5, NMSA 1978. At this moment, I would entertain a motion to go into closed session. Madam Mayor?
Mr. Chair, I make that motion to go into closed session.
I have a motion made by Mayor Barraza. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion has been seconded by Commissioner Ellens. May I have a roll call vote on the matter, please?
Javier Perea,
Yes.
Nora Barraza,
Yes.
Deji Powie,
Yes.
Lynn Ellens,
Yes.
Diana Murillo, Diana Murillo,
Mayor Murillo, one last chance.
Yes.
That was her? All right, Mayor, motion carries. We are in closed session. I have a 2:40 PM.
Do we stay in here for closed session?
Yeah.
Yeah, thumbs up.
Yeah, thumbs up? All right, all right. So welcome back, everyone. We are back in open session. I do have 2:52 PM. Let the record show that only those items on the agenda were discussed and that no decision was made in closed session.
Mr. Chair, do we need to take action on that, a motion
No, ma'am.
to go back into open session?
No?
We always do, that's why.
You do? No, it's not necessary. I know people do it, but it's not necessary.
Okay.
All right, board comments?
I only have one comment.
Madam Mayor?
And I know that staff is gone, but Mr. Armijo, if we can just, in the future for the resolutions, if we can just state on the resolutions where that funding is coming from.
Oh, sure.
And, you know, where you're going to be taking the match money. I think it just makes it clearer on the resolution. And I think it just make it easier. So that's my only board comment, sir.
Any other comments? Seeing and hearing none, I have I don't have a motion. If there is no objection, this meeting is now adjourned. I have a 2:53 PM. Thank you all very much. Have a good
Thank
evening.
you.
Bye, ladies. Okay.